Lesson 1.6, Nutrition and Caloric Needs are impacted by lifestyle. The goals of this lesson are to apply the content discussed in Lesson 1.5 to real-life situations, to give students an idea of their own caloric needs and nutritional needs, to demonstrate how to analyze information from the MyPlate Super Tracker website. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to make predictions about nutritional needs, give an example of a diet high in calories and low in nutrients, and recognize how caloric needs are impacted by lifestyle. We'll achieve these goals by having students complete a case study worksheet in which they examine diets of 3 fictional characters. To prepare for this lesson, you will need to review the key scientific concepts that will be presented throughout the lesson. These include the recommended dietary intakes of the macronutrients, carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, the function of vitamins A, B, C, D, E, and K, the function of common minerals, iron, calcium, sodium, and potassium, and the definition of an empty calorie. You can review the scientific content in the background reading provided for you in the teacher primer, the teacher manual, and the student workbook. The teacher primer provides in-depth knowledge about the scientific content presented in this lesson. The teacher manual or lesson plan provides a minute-by-minute explanation of the lesson structure, including instructions on how to manage the discussion and the activity. And the student workbook provides additional explanation for students. You will need to print 1 activity worksheet per student and 1 MyPlate summary per group of students. You will also need to print 1 homework worksheet per student. If you have access to computers with internet access for your class, it is sometimes helpful to set up a MyPlate Super Tracker account together in class. This is not a requirement to complete today's lesson, but students will use the Super Tracker tool for tonight's homework, and generally students have more success if they have had time to learn how to navigate this website in their class. The key points of this lesson's do now are that there is no single definition of healthy eating. This definition changes based on the nutrition and caloric needs of an individual. And that empty calories are those that come from foods or drinks that don't include many vitamins and minerals. We'll get there by having a short discussion. In the do now, we will ask students to discuss what it means to eat healthily. Students should draw upon their knowledge from previous lessons. For example, they may discuss how many calories a person needs, or discuss how many nutrients someone should eat. The do now ends with the question, is there such a thing as a good and bad calorie? This is a question that we will begin to address today, but that will come up again throughout the rest of the metabolic disease module. The key points of this lesson's activity are that caloric and nutrient needs are based on lifestyle and other factors, and to give the students an opportunity to analyze tables from the Super Tracker tool. We'll get there by having a case study where students will analyze the diets from 3 fictional characters. Using the activity worksheet, students will be introduced to 3 characters to learn about those characters' lifestyle. Mimi rarely exercises and has a sweet tooth. Oliver rarely sits down to a meal and is always eating on the go, and Edna exercises often and tries to eat a healthy diet. Before being given specific dietary information, students will predict the nutritional needs of each character and predict which has the healthiest diet using the Lesson 1.6 worksheet. After this prediction, you will hand out the MyPlate summaries to the student groups. Students will use this information to fill out the table on the worksheet and state whether their predictions were correct. These tables are the same types of tables students will see when they use the Super Tracker tool on the MyPlate website. Students may have used this tool to complete the homework in Lesson 1.3, and will use it again for this lesson's homework. After students have completed this activity, you will review the answer to the worksheets together. The teacher manual goes over the steps of this activity and offers prompts to help guide the discussion with your class. The key points of this lesson's wrap-up are that diets can be high in calories and low in nutrients, which is called empty calories. Caloric needs are impacted by lifestyle, and what makes a food healthy is determined by what is in that food, including nutrients, calories, additives, and contaminants. We'll get there by having a Socratic discussion with the students. The wrap-up asks students questions that are used to summarize the content that they learned both in this lesson, but also throughout Unit 1. The teacher's manual provides the discussion prompts and answers to the questions posted in the wrapped-up. The key points of this lesson's homework are that different people have different dietary needs, and to give students an opportunity to find and analyze their own dietary needs. We'll get there by having students use a worksheet to give dietary recommendations to one of the 3 characters from today's activity. Then, students will use the Super Tracker tool and a food journal to determine their own caloric needs and nutritional needs. When giving dietary advice to a character, students should use the content covered throughout Unit 1, including nutritional and caloric needs, as well as advice about food additives and food contaminants. The primary goal of the food journal assignment is to give students a chance to reflect on their own diet. Students are asked to log both food intake and physical activity for a 7-day period. Students will use the homework worksheet as a rubric for their own food journal. Because students are asked to collect their dietary information over a week's time, you will need to give them a due date with enough time to finish. Caution: it is important that you remind students that they will not be graded on what they eat, but rather on the completeness of the assignment. Their finished assignment should include at least 1 nutrition label from something they ate over a 7-day period, which should be cut out and taped into their journal, a calculation of the total number of calories they ingested over a 7-day period, a calculation of the total number of calories they expended over the same 7-day period, a calculation of their activity level over the same 7-day period, and an analysis of their diet and exercise level over the same 7-day period. This lesson brings up the question of good and bad calories. You may hear about good versus bad calories, though technically a calorie is a calorie. The idea of a bad calorie alludes to an empty calorie, or calories that come from foods that are calorically dense but provide no nutritional benefit. The Super Tracker website has a lot of information, which makes it a bit difficult to navigate at first. Be sure to give yourself enough time to explore the website before sending your students there to set up an account. Having a homework assignment that is as personal as this food journal usually excites students. However, a small number of teachers have decided to not assign the food journal homework due to concerns that the assignment may trigger eating disorder behaviors in some of their students. You will need to make the decision that is best for your own students. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to make predictions about nutritional needs, give an example of a diet high in calories and low in nutrients, and recognize how caloric needs are impacted by lifestyle. The idea that caloric needs are impacted by lifestyle and other factors comes up again when we discuss metabolic rate in Unit 3. Students will see how some of these factors can be changed to adjust caloric needs, like physical activity, or others can't, like age. Don't forget that if you have any questions, concerns, or feedback to let us know, you can contact any of the CTSE team members and we will be happy to help you.